Hi, I'm Rob from B&H, and in this video we're taking a look at Akai's MPC Renaissance music production controller. The MPC series of sampling drum machines is legendary. The sound and feel of these machines has graced many hit records, especially hip-hop productions, as well as countless dance and R&B tracks. With the Renaissance, Akai combines the classic workflow of the MPC controller with the power and versatility of a computer. The processing is done on your computer using the MPC software, while the hardware functions as both a control surface and audio interface. Now, if you're familiar with MPC machines of yesteryear, the Renaissance hardware will be like hanging out with an old friend. The build quality is excellent. The chassis feels really solid and weighs in at 10.5 pounds, so it's not going to go sliding around while you're programming beats. The 16 velocity and pressure sensitive pads have returned and feel terrific to play, but now they're backlit in red, green, orange, and yellow. By default, the colors respond to velocity, but they can also tell you if a pad is muted or not, your current position in the step sequencer, and more. For example, you can program pads with similar sounds to have the same color if you'd like. There are 8 banks of pads, so you can easily move between sets of sounds or move up and down keyboard octaves if you're playing a sound melodically. To the left of the pads are 16 touch-sensitive Q-Link knobs that can be set to control various parameters, including tuning, volume, effects, and more. They also feature red LEDs to indicate the knob's current position. The angle-adjustable LCD displays pertinent information, although you can also see a lot of the same stuff on your computer screen if you prefer. The MPC Renaissance connects to your computer via the USB 2.0 port on the back and supplies 2 additional powered USB ports for flash drives, MIDI keyboards, or other devices. Also back here are 4 balanced 1/4-inch outputs and 2 combo 1/4-inch XLR inputs that can be set to mic or line level, along with a phantom power switch that supplies 48 volts to condenser mics if you need it. Right beside those is the stereo RCA input that can be switched from line level to phono, allowing you to sample directly from a turntable. The input gain knob with a 4-segment LED meter beside it makes sampling pretty straightforward, and sampling rates of up to 24-bit 96 kHz are supported. 4 MIDI outs and 2 MIDI ins are back here as well, along with the SPDIF in and out ports and the connection for the wall wart power supply. 1/4-inch and 1/8-inch headphone jacks with volume knob are on the front, along with 2 1/4-inch inputs for foot switches. Now, the other half of the MPC Renaissance is the software, which works with both Mac and PC computers. We tested it on a MacBook Pro, and installation was pretty straightforward. You'll first load the software DAW, which includes the MPC Drum Content and the MPC Loop Library, and then you'll install the additional sound expansion discs. The kits on the expansion discs are virtual instrument plugins and have to be loaded as plugins. And it's worth emphasizing just how good the sound library is. There are 4 expansion packs included with purchase: the bank, which has keyboards, basses, leads, and more; the wub, filled with electronic dance music sounds; the noise, which features old-school noisy electronic sounds; and the 809, which offers an assortment of classic drum machines. The non-expansion content is also great and includes all the classic MPC3000 sounds. Let me play a couple of those included programs and sequences so you can get a little idea of some of the beats this bad boy can do. Working with the MPC Renaissance is fairly intuitive, preserving the workflow that people love about MPCs. Samples are arranged into programs, either as a drum program where you can assign different samples to the pads, or as a key group where the pads can play back notes on the piano keyboard for melodic sounds. To load sounds, I can browse through the computer's hard drive and load samples to the pads, either from the LCD screen or by dragging and dropping them on the computer. In drum mode, each pad has 4 layers, allowing for up to 4 separate samples per pad. I can trigger them all at once or have different samples play at different velocities. Each pad has its own filter with over 24 options, including high, band, and low pass options, as well as analog modeling and vocal formant types. Envelopes for the amp and filters are here, as well as an LFO that can modulate the pitch, filter, amp, and panning, and that can be synced to the master clock. Pads can also be set for one-shot triggering or note-on, so that samples only play as long as you hold the pad. The program mixer page allows you to adjust the volumes, panning, and the effects. The MPC Renaissance allows for up to 4 insert effects for each pad. In addition, you have 4 insert effects for each sequencer track and another 4 on the master section, say if you want to add a compressor to finalize your mix. On top of all those inserts, there are 4 effect sends as well, and they can be fed from both pads and tracks. The usual suspects are all on board: flangers, choruses, filters, delays, distortion, and reverb, among others, while audio units and VST plugins are compatible as well. The built-in effects all feature adjustable parameters that are automatically mapped to the Q knobs for quick adjustments. You can also use the Q knobs as effect sends, which is great when you play live. So of course, creating programs with samples is only half the equation, so let's take a look at the MPC Sequencer. I'll load up the old Playa program in sequence so we can take a look. The MIDI notes from this 4-bar pattern show up on the computer screen as the first track. If I want to overdub a snare on this track, I hit the Overdub button and I'm ready to go. If I don't like what I've played, I can hit the undo button or hold the erase button in the corresponding pad to erase a portion of the pattern as the loop plays. Now let's add a track. I'll create a new track in the same sequence, but the instrument on this track will be a sound from the Bank expansion kit. My playing is quantized with the timing correction set to 16th notes, but of course that's adjustable. I go into record and play the melody on the pads. This can continue, of course. I have 128 tracks per sequence and 128 sequences, which can be strung together in song mode to create whole compositions. The note repeat function that MPC users know and love so much is here, and the function keys allow you to choose different timings for that on the fly. You can also dial in swing to give your grooves that classic MPC feel. Beats can also be nudged to time correction values or finer adjustments. There's a step sequencer mode also, where the pads light up in time with the steps while you program. Also of interest for classic MPC fans is the vintage mode, so if the pristine sound of the Renaissance's 24-bit converters is a bit too clean for you, you can emulate the 16-bit sound of the MPC3000 or the 12-bit sound of the MPC 60. The other vintage mode is currently set to emulate the sound of output 1 on the venerable SP1200 sampling drum machine, but Akai is promising additional modes in the future. For real-time performance situations, the MPC offers some cool performance features. Tracks can be muted and soloed from the function keys or the pads, and tracks can be grouped for one-touch muting of multiple tracks. Mutes can also be quantized so they happen exactly on the beat or bar, and those moves can be recorded into the sequence by hitting the Overdub button. There's also a next sequence mode where you can use the pads to switch between entire sequences for live arrangements and remixes. Because the MPC Renaissance is a software and hardware hybrid, it integrates quite well with other DAWs. Not only can I run it in standalone mode, I can also run it as a plugin inside another DAW. We tried it out with Logic as the host and it worked great, but the hardware does have to be connected to work. The MPC Renaissance will also load VST and audio unit instruments and effect plugins once you set that up in the preferences. You can also load files from previous MPC machines, from the MPC 60 up to the MPC 5000, and files from the Renaissance can be exported to play back on those machines as well. Also convenient in the export page is the ability to export audio data either from the outputs or from individual tracks, which can save you a lot of time in recording situations. Now I'm kind of just scratching the surface of the MPC Renaissance for this overview, but hopefully that gives you a reasonable idea of what this controller and interface is all about. With touch-sensitive backlit pads and Q-Link knobs with LED indicators, excellent sound and build quality, and intuitive software, if you're looking to introduce that classic MPC workflow to your computer setup, the MPC Renaissance is definitely worth checking out. I'm Rob from B&H, and thanks for watching.
For more information, please visit us online, give us a call, or stop by our New York City Superstore. You can also connect with us on the web.